that means I've completed the first part of the assignment. Except if you want to get higher marks or complete marks, 100%, then you're going to need to do a little bit more. And to get some ideas of how to do a little bit more, I suggest you watch the video that I've uploaded, which describes in more detail how level changing works. That will allow you to have different backgrounds, for example, for each level, and how to move properties from one level to another. Another reason why you should watch the levels video, the dedicated levels video, is because it might help you debug some issues that you might have. For example, if you cannot transition to the next level, or you move on to the next level but you suddenly cannot control the game character anymore, then all those things are addressed in the levels video, so you might want to watch that too. Good. Now let's move on to the second requirement, a graphical interface that displays information such as health, score, etc. If you look in the lecture covering method override, download the MyView example into my Java directory. I'm going to go in there and extract it. And then from my view, I will copy this MyView class. And I will copy it into events demo. And I will go into game, and instead of creating a user view here, I will create a my view. There's some sort of error here. The constructor is probably different. If I go in my view, I will see that the constructor of my view is a world, a yellow bird, and width and height. So I have a world, but I don't have a yellow bird. The yellow bird in this case is world.getPlayer. If I go into my view, I will see that I'm drawing a background, and I probably will need to copy that background image from my view. I'll copy both of these, since I don't exactly know which one I'm using. So I'm going to copy both of these in the events demo data folder. And then I will try to run my game. Perfect, we've added some background here. I still have the door. I can still go on to next levels and so on, but I have a background. In addition to this, it's in the pane foreground method that I want to add code to display, for example, the score of my yellow bird, how many oranges it has. So in here I'm going to say g.string rather, score. This is not width and height, this is a position in the window where I want to draw my score. So I'm going to say at 100 and 100. Now if I run my game, I see here very little on my screen this word score. So instead of doing that, I will say score equals, and bird get orange count. Now right now it says, even though it's very difficult to see it here, it says that score equals 0. And if I start collecting oranges, it will say score 1, score 2, score 3. So it looks like we've kind of implemented a part of this graphical interface that displays information. We are displaying score. There's only one problem which you'll notice, and that is that if you now move on to the next level, so your score is 3, and you collect various other oranges, your score still says 3. So why do you think this is? I will just give you a hint and let you figure it out for yourself. In this My View, the field bird, what is it set to? Which bird? Is it the bird in level 1 or is it the bird in level 2? Well, take a look in-game when you created the view. When did you create the view? You've created right after you've created level 1, and you've sent in, through the constructor of the My View, you've sent in the yellow bird that you've created in level 1. Watch the levels transitioning video and you might get a better sense of what exactly you need to do. On to the third requirement, which has us do a graphical user interface with some buttons, for example, pause and restart. What I will do is I will use the NetBeans GUI builder, and we have instructions on how to use that in lecture 6. So make sure you open lecture 6 and have these instructions in front of you. So the first thing that I will do is I will create a Swing GUI JPanel form. And I do that by going File, New, Swing GUI Forms, JPanel form. Click Next and then name this however you want, but maybe Control Panel is a good idea. You see here that the control panel was created and I'm being sent here into the control panel design mode. It's this design mode. You can switch to source mode, but you can work directly in design mode. And now into here I'm going to drag 2 buttons like this and like this. And I will change the text that I'm showing in them by scrolling. And now I'm scrolling down here and changing what those buttons say. So restart. And if I select the other button, I can also change it to pause. And why not? I can add another button called quit. Perfect. I'm going to resize my control panel. And this now looks fine. If I go and look at the instructions, I dragged a button, I did various things. What I will need to do now is add this control panel to my game. What this means is that if I run my game right now, I have this frame, which is a J-frame, which is the top window that I'm showing on my desktop. And what I want to do is add this control panel somewhere, let's say, to the left in here. To do that, I need to go into game right after I create my J-frame, and I will copy this bit of code. And paste it in here. I don't need this. And instead of window, my frame is called frame. I'm going to also fix the imports. And now these are fine. Let's see what happens if I run the code right now. Again, I'm going to clean and build. And then run my game. And indeed, I have my control panel here on the side of my window. You could play with these. You can say here east instead of west. And again, I need to recompile. And if I run it, I see that my menu now is on the right. Good. Let's add some handlers, some actions to those buttons. I'm going to go back to the control panel. And I'm going to double click, for example, on quit. This takes me into a method that gets called if the user clicks on quit. So I'm going to add my own code here. In particular, I'm going to say system exit 0, and that should take me out of the game. Let's try that. Indeed, it closed the game. Now, you can do the same for the other buttons. Right now, notice that I'm in source mode, in control panel, but in source mode. So I'm going to switch to design, double click on pause, then go back to design, double click on restart. And now I have handlers for both my pause button and my restart. So I can type here and here I will type restart and then make sure that this works. I should get a pause message and the restart message. Perfect. So my controls seem to work, but they're not quite doing what I want. I want to pause the game if I click pause. It's very likely that to be able to do this, you will need access to your game or your world. For example, you would like to say game.pause. The problem is that you don't have access to your game object. How do you do this? How do you get access to the game object? Remember, this is the game object that you've created right here. You will have to send it down through the constructor. So I'm going to do something like this, which is a pattern that we've discussed in class a while ago. I'm going to add a game field. And I'm going to say this.game, which is this field here, equals game, which is this parameter right here. And now I will get an error in game, probably, because if I try to create this control panel, now this control panel has a constructor that needs a parameter, game. So in here I need to send something in of type game, and that's this, because this is a game. Good, but the problem now is that my game class doesn't have a pause method. Well, that's okay. I can add a pause method. Right now this will work. And in here I will say game, I will say world dot stop, for example. The way to test this is I can run my game, and then while the oranges fall I can set pause, and notice that indeed the oranges have stopped me there. I will let you figure out how to add a restart method, but having this framework here means it should be really easy for you to do so. Good. So we've added a graphical user interface. The last thing to do is have more dynamic bodies that interact with other bodies in varying ways. I will not create a video to discuss this milestone. I will let you play with it. Good. This should give you some ideas on how to approach milestone 2. Good luck.